Before we begin this morning prayer, I want to ask you a question. How much power have you unknowingly handed over to your circumstances? Think about that carefully. How much of your peace depends on things going your way? How much of your confidence depends on favorable conditions? How much of your hope depends on visible evidence? How much of your joy depends on what happens around you? Because many people believe they are reacting to life. What they don't realize is that life has quietly become their master. A difficult conversation changes their mood. An unexpected setback destroys their confidence. A delayed opportunity steals their hope. One piece of bad news controls their entire day. And slowly, without realizing it, they surrender their inner authority to external conditions. But what if there is another way to live? What if peace is possible even when circumstances are uncertain? What if strength can exist before solutions arrive? What if stability is available before clarity appears? What if your spirit was designed to lead your circumstances instead of being led by them? This morning, we are going to explore a truth that has transformed lives throughout history. Truth that separates those who are constantly shaken from those who remain grounded. A truth that becomes increasingly important in a world full of uncertainty, because circumstances are always changing. But your spirit does not have to change with every storm. One of the easiest ways to lose peace is to become reactive. Reactive living happens when your internal state is constantly determined by external events. Something good happens. You feel secure. Something bad happens. You feel defeated. Someone praises you. You feel valuable. Someone criticizes you. You feel inadequate. An opportunity appears. You feel hopeful. A door closes. You feel lost. And before long, your emotional world begins operating like a boat tossed by waves. Always moving, always shifting, always vulnerable to the next change. The problem isn't that circumstances affect us. Of course they do. We are human. The problem arises when circumstances control us. There is a significant difference between influence and authority. External events may influence your experience, but they should not possess absolute authority over your inner life. Because when circumstances become your master, peace becomes impossible. You are constantly waiting for the next event to determine how you feel. The next phone call, the next message, the next outcome, the next approval, the next sign. And peace becomes conditional, fragile, temporary, dependent. But true spiritual maturity begins when peace is no longer entirely dependent upon conditions. Most people do not consciously decide to surrender their power. It happens gradually, often through fear. Fear convinces us that control equals safety. So we begin trying to control everything. Every outcome, every conversation, every possibility, every future scenario. And when life inevitably refuses to cooperate, anxiety grows. Because reality rarely follows our exact script. The deeper issue is not always the circumstance itself. The deeper issue is the belief that our well-being depends entirely upon controlling it. That belief creates exhaustion because life contains countless variables beyond our influence. People make their own choices. Opportunities come and go. Plans change. Unexpected events happen. Seasons shift. And if your sense of stability depends upon controlling every variable, instability becomes unavoidable. This is why spiritual wisdom invites us towards something different. Not greater control, greater trust. Not greater certainty, greater grounding. Not dependence upon circumstances, dependence upon something deeper than circumstances. One of the most powerful realizations a person can have is understanding that facts and interpretations are not the same thing. Facts describe events. Interpretations assign meaning. A delay is a fact. Everything is falling apart is an interpretation. A rejection is a fact. I'll never succeed is an interpretation. A challenge is a fact. I'm not capable is an interpretation. Many people suffer less from circumstances and more from the meanings they automatically attach to them. The mind becomes incredibly skilled at creating stories. Stories about failure, limitation, hopelessness, scarcity, rejection. And often these stories gain more power than the actual event. The spirit over circumstance mindset does not deny reality. It simply refuses to surrender to the first interpretation that appears. Many people underestimate themselves during difficult seasons. They assume that because circumstances feel overwhelming, they must be weak. But seasons do not define identity. Storms do not define identity. Challenges do not define identity. Temporary conditions do not define identity. A seed buried underground may appear lost. Yet beneath the surface, unseen growth is occurring. Roots are forming. Strength is developing. Preparation is happening. Many spiritual journeys look similar. Externally, progress may seem invisible. Internally, transformation is unfolding. But because people focus only on visible evidence, they assume nothing is happening. This is one of the greatest mistakes we make. We judge our lives based on what we can immediately see. Yet some of the most important growth occurs beneath the surface, develops beneath the surface. And often, by the time visible results appear, invisible growth has already done most of the work. That is why your current circumstance cannot fully define your future, because your spirit is still growing, still learning, still becoming. Inner authority begins when you recognize that while you cannot always choose what happens around you, you can develop greater wisdom regarding what happens within you. And that changes everything, because external mastery is limited. Internal mastery is transformative. The strongest people are not those who never face storms. The strongest people are those who refuse to become the storm. One of the greatest misunderstandings in life is the belief that calmness means passivity. Many people assume that if someone remains peaceful during difficulty, they must not care. If someone stays composed during pressure, they must not understand the seriousness of the situation. If someone refuses to panic, they must be disconnected from reality. But true calmness is not weakness. It is strength under control. Anyone can react. Anyone can panic. Anyone can allow emotions to take over. But remaining grounded when circumstances are demanding. Your fear requires tremendous inner strength. Think about a large tree during a storm. The branches move. The leaves shake. The winds push against it relentlessly. Yet the roots remain anchored. Its stability is not determined by what is happening above ground. Its stability is determined by what exists beneath the surface. People are similar. The most grounded individuals are not those who experience fewer storms. They are those who have developed deeper roots. Roots of faith, roots of wisdom, roots of perspective, roots of spiritual maturity. And because their roots are strong, their circumstances do not easily uproot them. This does not mean they never feel fear. It means fear is not allowed to lead. It means uncertainty is not given the final word. It means temporary conditions are not permitted to define permanent identity. Fear has a remarkable ability. It makes small problems appear enormous. It makes uncertainty appear catastrophic. It makes temporary situations feel permanent. When people operate primarily from fear, they stop seeing clearly. A closed door becomes the end of the story. A delay becomes proof of failure. A challenge becomes evidence of defeat. A difficult season becomes confirmation that nothing will improve. Yet reality is rarely as limited as fear suggests. Fear is a poor narrator. It tells incomplete stories. It focuses on what might go wrong while ignoring what might go right. It magnifies obstacles while minimizing resources. It highlights limitations while overlooking possibilities. And because fear speaks with urgency, many people mistake it for wisdom. But urgency and wisdom are not the same thing. The loudest voice is not always the wisest voice. The most emotional thought is not always the most accurate thought. The strongest feeling is not always the deepest truth. This is why spiritual discernment matters. It helps us recognize the difference between fear's interpretation and reality's possibilities. And often that distinction changes everything. Many people believe strength appears suddenly. In reality, strength is usually practiced. The ability to remain grounded during chaos is not created during chaos. It is revealed during chaos. It is built long before the storm arrives. Just as physical muscles develop through repeated resistance, spiritual strength develops through repeated choices. the choice to trust, the choice to reflect, the choice to remain patient, the choice to return to faith. These choices may seem small in the moment, yet over time they become identity. Every day you are practicing something. You are practicing fear or courage, practicing gratitude or complaint, practicing trust or worry, practicing peace or panic, practicing faith or doubt. And eventually your habits become your default response. This is why daily spiritual disciplines matter, not because they make life perfect, but because they prepare you for imperfection. They strengthen your roots before the winds arrive. They deepen your foundation before pressure appears. They cultivate inner authority before circumstances attempt to challenge it. Many people spend enormous amounts of energy trying to eliminate uncertainty, but uncertainty is part of being human. No one sees the entire future. No one possesses complete understanding. No one has every answer. Yet many people treat uncertainty as though it were a threat, as though not knowing automatically means something is wrong. But what if uncertainty is not your enemy? What if uncertainty is simply the space where trust develops? After all, faith would not be necessary if everything were visible. Courage would not be necessary if there were no risk. Patience would not be necessary if every outcome arrived immediately. Some of the most transformative experiences in life occur within uncertainty, not because uncertainty is comfortable, but because it reveals what we truly depend upon. When certainty disappears, foundations become visible. Emotions are valuable. They provide information. They reveal concerns. They highlight desires. They signal needs. But emotions were never designed to be permanent leaders. Imagine driving a car where every passenger attempts to control the steering wheel. Chaos would be inevitable. Similarly, when every emotional impulse controls your decisions, stability becomes difficult. One day enthusiasm leads, the next day fear leads, then frustration leads, then insecurity leads, then discouragement leads, and life becomes inconsistent. Spirit over circumstance means allowing deeper wisdom to lead. It means acknowledging emotions without surrendering to them. It means listening without automatically obeying. It means feeling without becoming controlled. There is tremendous freedom in this, because emotions change, circumstances change, seasons change, but a grounded spirit provides continuity. It provides direction even when feelings fluctuate, and that direction becomes one of life's greatest sources of peace. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that circumstances are not always negotiable. You cannot negotiate every delay. You cannot negotiate every disappointment. You cannot negotiate every loss. You cannot negotiate every unexpected turn. Life will always contain variables beyond your control, yet something powerful happens when you stop demanding control over everything around you and begin developing mastery over what exists within you. Your focus shifts. Your energy shifts. Your perspective shifts. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "How will I respond to this?" Instead of asking, "When will things finally change?" you begin asking, "Who am I becoming through this season?" Instead of waiting for external peace, you begin cultivating internal peace. And that changes everything, because circumstances may influence your environment, but they do not have to determine your identity. They may affect your plans, but they do not have to affect your purpose. They may challenge your comfort, but they do not have to destroy your confidence. A spirit-led life is not a life without problems. It is a life where problems are no longer allowed to become your ruler, and there is tremendous freedom in that realization. One of the greatest illusions many people believe is this: I'll finally have peace when the money arrives, when the relationship improves, when the diagnosis changes, when the opportunity appears, when the uncertainty disappears, when life becomes easier. The problem is that the finish line keeps moving. One concern disappears and another arrives. One challenge ends and another begins. One uncertainty resolves and a new uncertainty emerges. If peace depends entirely on perfect circumstances, peace remains temporary, because circumstances are temporary. True peace operates differently. True peace is not built upon conditions. It is built upon foundations. Foundations remain when conditions change. A strong foundation remains during storms. A strong foundation remains during delays. A strong foundation remains during uncertainty. This is why some people remain grounded in situations that would completely overwhelm others. Not because their circumstances are easier, because their foundation is deeper. They have learned that peace is something cultivated, something protected, something practiced, not something postponed until life becomes perfect. Sometimes we become so focused on current challenges that we forget previous victories. We become so consumed by today's pressure that we overlook yesterday's resilience. Take a moment and consider this. How many difficult seasons have you already survived? How many setbacks have you already endured? How many disappointments have you already overcome? How many moments once seemed impossible that are now part of your story? You have faced uncertainty before. You have faced fear before. You have faced confusion before. You have faced waiting before. And somehow you are still here, still standing, still learning, still growing, still moving forward. That matters because your history contains evidence. Evidence of resilience, evidence of strength, evidence that your spirit is far stronger than fear wants you to believe. Sometimes the confidence you need for tomorrow can be found by remembering what carried you through yesterday. You are not starting from zero. You are carrying lessons, wisdom, experience, growth, and all of those things become resources for the journey ahead. Many people assume the most powerful force in a room is the loudest voice, the strongest personality, the greatest position, the greatest influence. But often the most powerful force in any room is the person who remains grounded, the person who refuses panic, the person who remains clear during confusion, the person who remains centered during pressure, the person who remains faithful during uncertainty, the person who does not allow circumstances to dictate their character. Why? Because stability is powerful, calmness is powerful, wisdom is powerful, presence is powerful. In a world filled with reaction, grounded people become rare, and rare qualities carry influence. This does not mean becoming emotionless. It means becoming anchored, anchored in truth, anchored in faith, anchored in purpose, anchored in perspective. And when you become anchored, circumstances lose much of their ability to shake you. Not because life becomes easier, because you become stronger. Perhaps someone listening this morning has unknowingly merged their identity with their circumstance. You have become so familiar with the struggle that you now describe yourself through it. You call yourself broken, lost, behind, stuck, defeated. But circumstances describe seasons, not identities. A storm is a season, not an identity. A challenge is a season, not an identity. A delay is a season, not an identity. A valley is a season, not an identity. The danger comes when temporary situations become permanent labels, because labels influence expectations. Expectations influence choices. Choices influence outcomes, and eventually people begin living according to limitations they were never meant to accept. Remember this: you are experiencing a circumstance. You are not the circumstance. You are walking through a season. You are not the season, and that distinction has the power to restore hope. Heavenly Father, thank you for the gift of this morning. Thank you for waking me today. Thank you for sustaining me through the night and allowing me to step into another day filled with possibility, purpose, growth, and grace. As I begin this day, I bring before you every concern that has been weighing on my heart, every unanswered question, every uncertainty, every frustration, every fear, every burden I have been carrying. Lord, there are moments when circumstances feel overwhelming, moments when challenges seem larger than my strength, moments when uncertainty tries to convince me that I am alone, moments when fear attempts to take control of my thoughts. But today I choose a different posture. Today I choose faith over fear. Today I choose wisdom over panic. Today I choose peace over anxiety. Today I choose spirit over circumstance. Father, help me remember that my circumstances do not define me. My challenges do not define me. My setbacks do not define me. My delays do not define me. My fears do not define me. My identity is deeper than my current season. My worth is greater than my present struggle. My purpose is larger than today's obstacle. Lord, strengthen my spirit. Strengthen me when I feel weak. Steady me when I feel uncertain. Ground me when I feel overwhelmed. Anchor me when emotions try to pull me in every direction. Teach me how to remain calm without becoming passive. Teach me how to remain hopeful without denying reality. Teach me how to remain faithful without requiring constant evidence. Teach me how to trust you even when I cannot yet see the entire path. Father, help me surrender the illusion of control. Help me stop exhausting myself trying to manage things that are beyond my influence. Help me release what I cannot carry. Help me focus on what I can do today. Give me wisdom for today's decisions. Give me strength for today's responsibilities. Give me peace for today's challenges. Give me grace for today's journey. Lord, when fear begins telling stories of failure, remind me of truth. When anxiety begins creating worst-case scenarios, remind me of your presence. When uncertainty tempts me to panic, remind me that I do not walk alone. When discouragement whispers that nothing is changing, remind me that growth often happens beneath the surface. Father, develop deeper roots within me, roots of faith, roots of patience, roots of resilience, roots of wisdom, roots of courage, roots that remain strong when the winds of life begin to blow. Make me the kind of person who remains grounded when others panic, the kind of person who remains compassionate when others become bitter, the kind of person who remains hopeful when others surrender to despair, the kind of person who remains faithful when circumstances become difficult. Lord, help me recognize that peace is not something I must wait for. Help me cultivate it today. Help me protect it today. Help me practice it today. Help me carry it into every conversation, every challenge, every decision, and every opportunity that comes my way. I pray for every person listening right now. May peace fill their mind. May strength fill their spirit. May courage fill their heart. May wisdom guide their decisions. May faith steady their steps. May they remember that they are greater than the circumstances surrounding them. May they remember that storms are temporary. May they remember that fear is not their master. May they remember that uncertainty does not have the final word. And may they discover a deeper level of trust, confidence, and stability than they have ever known before. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your protection. Thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for the strength that rises within us when circumstances attempt to pull us down. And thank you for reminding us that while life may be unpredictable, your presence remains constant. In your holy name, Amen. The strongest person is not the one who controls every circumstance. The strongest person is the one who remains grounded when circumstances refuse to cooperate. Because storms will come, delays will come, unexpected turns will come. But your spirit was never meant to bow to every wave. Circumstances never control you, unless you let them.